London, a royal banquet, torchlight catching gold thread on leather. Isabella of France watches a knight cross the hall and stops breathing for half a second. The purse at his belt is hers. Not literally hers, but stitched by her own hand years ago, a gift sent to her brother's wife back in Paris. She says nothing. She watches another night pass, and there it is again. A second purse, a second gift, hanging where it should never be. She does not confront anyone that night. She simply watches and remembers and waits. It will be months before anyone else understands what she already suspects. Two sisters. One court back in Paris. Margaret and Blanche of Burgundy live inside a palace that watches everything and forgives nothing. Married into the house of Capet to seal alliances neither woman chose, they spend their days performing a role, dutiful, composed, silent. At night, something changes. Margaret slips through a side corridor. Blanche follows a different path, minutes apart, careful not to be seen together. Neither of them knows that a purse has already betrayed them across the channel. For now, they only know the palace is asleep, the guards are predictable, and the river is close. The tower on the Seine there is a tower on the north bank of the river. Old, plain, easy to overlook. The crown bought it years earlier for reasons no one questions anymore. By day, it sits empty. By night, it opens for two women who arrive separately and leave before dawn. Inside wait two Norman knights, Philippe and Gautier d'Aunay, brothers serving in the royal household by title, and something else entirely by night. What happens behind those walls will never be spoken of in daylight. For a while that silence holds. Isabella returns. Isabella crosses back to Paris, and this time she does not stay silent. She finds her father, Philip IV, a king so exacting that even his own court calls him the Iron King behind closed doors, and she tells him what she saw. She does not accuse. She simply describes two purses in the wrong hands. Philip listens without reacting, which is somehow worse than if he had raged. He asks no questions that night. He simply begins, quietly, to watch. The watchers in the dark. For weeks, men loyal only to the king take up positions near the river, unseen, unhurried. They note the hour a cloaked woman arrives at the tower. They note the hour she leaves. They note it again the next night, and the night after that, until the pattern becomes undeniable. Margaret and Blanche have no idea they are being counted. Philippe and Gautier have no idea either. Somewhere in the palace, a king who trusts almost no one is building a case against his own family, one silent report at a time, and saying nothing until he is certain. The accusation. When Philip finally speaks, he does not speak quietly. He summons his three sons, Louis, Philip, and Charles, and tells them what their wives have been doing in a tower he himself once purchased. The room does not need description. Imagine three princes learning, in the same breath, that they have been betrayed and humiliated by the women meant to secure their bloodline. For the House of Capet, this is not simply heartbreak. A future queen's infidelity threatens the legitimacy of the throne itself. Within hours, soldiers are dispatched to arrest the d'Aunay brothers. What the torture revealed. Philippe and Gautier are taken to Pontoise, and what happens in that cell is not gentle. Under torture, both men confess to everything Isabella first suspected, and the king's spies later confirmed. Confession does not save them. In French law, adultery with the wife of a future king is not treated as a personal failing. It is lèse majesté, a crime against the crown, and it carries no mercy for noble blood or royal service. The brothers who once slipped quietly into a riverside tower now sit in chains, and they already know exactly what waits for them next. A reckoning in blood. April the 19th, 1314. A crowd fills the square at Pontoise, and Philippe and Gauthier d'Aulnay are brought forward for the last time. What follows is remembered as one of the most brutal executions of Philip's reign, described by chroniclers in details almost too severe to repeat: flaying, breaking, beheading, the bodies displayed afterward as a warning carved in flesh for anyone who might think the crown's honor is negotiable. The tower had kept their secret for months. The square keeps nothing hidden at all. Heads shaved, names erased. Margaret and Blanche never face an executioner, but the punishment waiting for them is its own kind of death. Before the assembled court, their heads are shaved, a calculated cruelty meant to strip away the beauty and status a royal wife is supposed to embody. They are sent north to Château Gaillard, a fortress far from any palace, far from any comfort. Margaret will not survive it. She dies there within 2 years, and historians still debate exactly how. Blanche lives longer, but her marriage to Charles is dissolved entirely, as though she had never been a princess of France at all. A king runs out of time. Philip IV does not live to see how far the damage spreads. He dies that same year in November, leaving behind 3 sons who will each, in turn, wear his crown. Yet none of them will leave behind a son who survives to inherit it. Even Margaret's daughter, Joan, carries a question over her birth that the scandal never fully answers. The king who spent his reign arranging marriages to secure his dynasty's future has, without realizing it, watched that future crack from the inside. The line ends 14 years after the executions at Pontoise. All 3 of Philip's sons are dead, and with them dies the direct male line of the House of Capet. Unbroken for over 300 years, the crown passes to a cousin instead, and the dispute that follows will not stay confined to France. Isabella, the daughter who once noticed a stolen purse across a crowded room, has sons of her own with Capetian blood, blood that English kings will later use to justify a claim on the French throne itself, a claim that helps ignite the 100 Years' War. What the river kept. The Tour de Nesle is gone now, pulled down centuries ago, its stones scattered into a city that no longer remembers where it stood. But for a handful of nights, inside those walls, 2 princesses reached for something the French court had never allowed them to have. It cost them everything they were. A dynasty that had survived conquest, plague, and 300 years of careful design did not fall to an army at its gates. It fell to a locked door on a quiet riverbank, and a purse someone should never have worn.